Welcome, everyone. I'm Glenda Dawson from Glenda's Dragon's Den. Um, I just want to say how truly grateful I am that you are here with me today. And today I want to speak to the person who has been hiding in plain sight, afraid to really be fully seen. The person with gifts, with wisdom, intuition, creativity, um, it's just, and you know, they have abilities to heal, they are leaders, or have a deep calling inside of them, yet they're holding back. Not because they got nothing to offer, or they're just not sure of who they are, but because they're not ready, because their light is very small. They have a light, but they don't want to make it bright because they don't want to be seen. They are afraid of um, their neighbors. They're afraid of the environment that they're in. They're afraid that if they show too much, it makes them feel like a show off instead of preparing them and for their path, for their journey, for their gifts, for what they came here for. Somewhere along the way, they started to think that being fully seen is unsafe, and it's better to stay small, to shrink, to keep it low, to not really expand. Now, this could be just as simple as somebody who uses their gifts, the intuitive gifts, as a nurse, to someone who uses their intuitive gifts in their tech world or in their uh, managerial world, whatever it is. You feel like you have to shrink for everyone else. You're not given gifts so you could hide them until everyone approves of them. Just be aware of that. Let that just hit. You're not given gifts so you could hide them until everyone approves of them. There's always going to be someone who is not going to approve of you and or who criticizes you or just puts you down. You know what that means? That means that they are shrinking themselves and they're so low that they cannot handle your brightness. So don't let that occur. Nobody's going to give you permission to be bright. Nobody's going to be giving you permission to be yourself. Nobody's giving you permission to walk your path. Only you can do that. Only you can do that. So don't make yourself small. Maybe you will get criticized for speaking up. Maybe your sensitivity was um, is going to be dismissed. Maybe your intuition is going to come in question. Maybe your gifts are just misunderstood. But you know what? Don't allow that to make you smaller or make your voice smaller. Don't shrink in order for you to feel safe. The brighter you become, the more safety you will experience. Why? Because that light is going to blind everyone. Your soul is tired of being put down, of being criticized, of people not really speaking to you correctly, or even feeling that you cannot, that feeling of unsafe. Your soul is just tired and is waiting for you to finally say, I am done. I'm going to be who I am meant to be. I'm going to shine really bright. And that's it. But you know that part of you, that becomes wisdom. And the more you experience, the older you get, I believe, the more wisdom you receive. And gently inside of you, you're going to start saying, Um, I am allowed to take up space, to take up sacred space. I am allowed to take up sacred space. And then all of a sudden you begin. You begin to see things differently. You begin to experience things differently. You know, when we're young, most people, well, let me start again. No, most people don't realize, don't come into this life being afraid of their own light. When we're really children, we come, we wonder, we are happy to express our intuition, even though we don't call it that. We don't even know what it is, but we could say, you know, the phone rings and your child says, oh, that's Aunt Helen or, Uncle Mark. They are now showing you that they have some intuition. But if they start going to school or they say that at one point, somebody calls and they say, oh, it's so and so, and there's other people around, they are going to then um, start shutting down. They ask questions. They're going to create without needing perfection. Children are a beautiful canvas that come fully open and they shine before even the world teaches them how to measure brightness. Children express themselves naturally. They create without needing permission or perfection. They shine before the world teaches them to measure the brightness. And I said that again because we grow and our environments make us small. We have to hide that we could, see ghosts, or we have to hide that we know about paranormal. We have to hide that we talk to the other side. We have to hide that we naturally came in and have healing abilities. Not because we want to call ourselves healer, it's just that that's the gifts that were given to us in this lifetime. Someone may call you at one point too emotional or too sensitive or too spiritual. Oh dear Lord, too spiritual, too intense or too much. So you kind of get punished for telling your truth. They dismiss your dreams. They say you um, you should not go into that field. What are you thinking? People are going to think you're crazy going into the paranormal field, right? All those paranormal investigators, right? If they listen to the outside world, they would never be researching what they do. They would never be finding out information, the truth of beings that were alive that are no longer in this dimension, that have a different story of that was written. So in order for you to become safe, you become invisible because you're not judged. So you keep dimming your light. You adapt and you learn how to read the room before you reveal yourself. You edit your joy, you edit your wisdom, your intuition, your dreams. Everything now becomes careful. Everything comes careful. You really speak a little bit, but not a lot. You say, yeah, I feel that you shouldn't take that job, but you're afraid to tell your friend that, or your family member, this person, any person that you know, because they're going to say, oh, stop. I feel like I'm better at the other job. And that's what happens. Now, we like to keep it small for another reason too, because we feel that being humble, true humility does not require you to disappear. Just want to point that out. True humility allows you to stand in your gifts without arrogance and without an apology. Where your ego says, I must be above everyone, fear says, I must stay below everyone. And alignment says, I will stand where spirit has placed me. I will stand where spirit has placed me. That is the place we are returning to. Slow, but steady, and visible to our truth right now. Being seen sounds beautiful until it actually happens, right? That's what we have fears of. Being visible can awaken old wounds, and we have to go through that whole um, dark side of the soul time period. That just means that you're shedding all that excess energy, all that energy that holds you down, keeps you down, so you can now shine freely without any obstacles. If your gifts were dismissed, stepping them into them publicly can feel very vulnerable. This is why people often ask for more clients, more impact, more visibility, more purpose, and then hide from what they're asking for. I know of quite a few people who shine naturally enough to feel like they're a lighthouse, and yet they're afraid of standing in their own path. They're afraid of taking those steps and becoming who they're supposed to be. They wait until everyone understands. They wait until everyone they know no longer accuses them of things. They wait until they are no longer afraid. But confidence does not always arrive before the step. Sometimes you have to take those steps, blind steps. Close your eyes and just take that first step walking forward. Sometimes your voice becomes stronger because you use it. Sometimes your path becomes clearer because you're actually beginning to walk on it. That doesn't mean that you don't have fear. It means that you continue in your truth and you are devoted to your truth more than fear. You only need to be devoted to your truth more than fear. Let that land. Let that land. You only need to be more devoted to your truth than fear. Not everyone is going to celebrate your expansion. Some people are comfortable with the version of you that was quiet, that was available, that was agreeable, that was overgiving, apologetic, quiet, easy to understand, available and agreeable and overgiving. Wow. So when you grow and you start to speak and heal and set boundaries and share your gifts and step more fully into your calling, some people may feel unsettled. Hmm. Show them. And they say, you have changed. You're different now. You think you're better. You are too much. Well, guess what? The right people will not see that. The right people will say, good, you're healing. Good, you're putting up boundaries. Good, you're on your path. And you're just right. You're perfect. And sometimes you have to come up with these powerful responses for those nay nay people, right? You are right. I am not the same person. Not as an attack, as truth. You're not meant to remain unchanged for the rest of your life because others are attached to the older version of you. Let that land. You're allowed to evolve. You're allowed to take up more space than survival once permitted. And some people will adjust and some won't. Yeah. Some connections will deepen, some will complete their season. And yes, that could hurt. Definitely could hurt. But losing an old approval that is not the same as losing your path. Sometimes the approval you're afraid to lose is attached to the prison you are trying to leave. Again, sometimes the approval you are afraid to lose is attached to the prison that you are trying to leave. Your gifts, intuition, voice, healing work, creativity, truth, all need room. All need room. Your gifts cannot fully move through life built around hiding, around creating yourself smaller, and around everyone's approval. If you are constantly shrinking, apologizing, doubting, delaying, or waiting for permission, your gifts have no space to breathe. If you're constantly doing this, you cannot grow. You have no space to breathe. You're going to die, basically. Your gifts are going to die. Now, this does not mean you need to rush. Discernment matters, privacy matters, timing matters, grounding matters. But hiding in sacred privacy are not the same as privacy says, this is sacred, and I will share it with wisdom. Where hiding says, I am afraid to be known. Privacy protects the gift, hiding suffocates it. Hiding suffocates it. Now ask yourself, am I waiting because this is not aligned yet or because I am afraid? Am I protecting something sacred or hiding from being seen? And believe me, this is not easy. I was that quiet, shy girl. Believe it or not, I know you can stop laughing now. That's okay. I hear you. That in college, whenever she had to give a speech, would actually get sick to her stomach, turn green, and sometimes faint. She had to ask for special accommodations with her teachers, her professors, to be able to do a speech not in public, but to just do it privately. The professor and myself, I would be behind the podium, but they would be the only person in the audience. To now, I could give speech anywhere. I could talk anywhere. I could talk here. This, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I would never, ever in your life would I have said, I am here now, opening myself to the world. Never. So I even had to go through this. I had to ask all these questions like, am I being patient or am I postponing my own becoming? Am I protecting something sacred or am I hiding from being seen? And slowly, I asked those questions. You know, sometimes there may be people out here that are waiting for the medicine only your voice can carry, right? I resonate with people who need me at that moment. Like the saying says, when the student is ready, the mentor appears, right? If you do not shine bright, how are they going to find you? And that doesn't mean that you have to do what I do. By all means, you could take a different route, but do not shrink. because you need approval from others. Sometimes I don't want to leave my house. Sometimes I just want to stay home. I just want to rest. And sometimes because I say, no, I need to go do this, and I get a calling to say, you just got to go. You just got to go and eat somewhere or sit somewhere or do something. And then I make myself available. My light is shining brightly so the person that needs the healing in however that form comes, manifests. I am there for them. I have been, sometimes I take a day off from all this. I say, no, I'm not going to do any technology, no, no, nothing. Absolutely. I'm not even going to use the phone. I'm going to turn everything off. Do not disturb. I just want to go into the woods. I just want to sit in column style. For those that know, column style is very close to here. And you just sit there in beautiful nature with a lot of beautiful, loving intention. And sometimes the universe throws a little wrench in your plans because you are needed. So I took off, and I said, I'm taking off. I'm not going to do any of this stuff. Today is a me TLC day. I'll get my nails done. I get this done. I'll just rest. I'll take my partner, wherever we need to go, do those errands that we haven't been able to do. Um, go and relax somewhere, maybe get a bite to eat, whatever. Well, the universe says, well, you did all that stuff at this time, go eat lunch. And we go eat lunch. And we discover, talking to the waitress, that she was looking for somebody just what I do. She was looking for somebody to help her with some spiritual stuff and her friends also, her family members also. So you never know. And if it wasn't because we started talking, the three of us, my partner, myself, and the waitress, about, you know, um, investigations, ghost investigations. She calls it hunting, ghost hunters, but that's because the show's on TV. But we research and we investigate. We go in there and we find out what's going on. And because we started talking about that, she put a smile on her face. Her energy changed completely. Not that she was a bad waitress or a bad mood or anything, but she felt, somehow she saw the light, and she felt like she wasn't alone anymore. She felt less alone because I finally spoke. Someone may need the wisdom that you are afraid to share. Hey, we all do that. Don't like talking about myself because I try to keep my private life and my professional life separate. But you know what? Sometimes those experiences that I went through are what someone else needs to know, hear, because they're going through similar things or worse, or similar things, similar experiences. And it is a breath of fresh air for them to know that they will also be okay afterwards. They will also hear how I did it, and maybe it resonates with them, and maybe they get an idea. And if it doesn't resonate, it stirs up something in them, plants that seed that becomes then their way. You're not meant to for just anyone. Not everyone. Not really. I'm not meant to be here for each and every one of us. That's why there's so many of us, because each person, each someone resonates with another. And that someone may never find you if you keep hiding. Someone may feel less alone because you finally spoke. You do not have to reach everyone. You don't. A lot of times, many sensitive intuitive, powerful, creative, spiritual people have been told they are too much, or they're too intense, too deep, too mystical, too honest, too different. I love being different, by the way, but sometimes just too much. And too much simply means that you are being measured by a container that was never built to hold you. A lake may be too much for a teacup. That does not make the lake wrong. It makes the container too small. Some rooms cannot hold your depth. Some conversations cannot hold your truth. And some people cannot hold your gifts. Okay? That's fine. You're not here. You're not everybody's cup of tea. Good. That means you have individuality, that you are made special. You are each created, although the same, but different. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that the greatest news, right? Some conversations cannot hold your truth, and you know what? That's okay. That does not mean you need to shrink. It just means you need a larger room, a truer space, more aligned audience, a healthier relationship, a deeper community. I always tell my students, at one point or another, they've heard me, find your tribe, whether it's with me or whether it's someplace else. But find it, look for it. Look for a more aligned space, a truer space, one that resonates with you deeper. That's when you become more grounded, more discerning, clearer, compassionate, more refined, but you don't less or make yourself smaller. Your assignment is not to be less discerning or unclear, but to be more compassionate, more refined, clearer, louder, brighter. That's your assignment. There's a difference between shining and proving. Shining is natural. It's what you were born with. Proving is exhausting. Now, many say, come to my center and they ask me, why is it that I don't have one single certificate of all the studying that I have done up in my walls? And I said, because I don't have to prove anything to anyone. The only people that I have to prove to is divine being, and she already knows who I am. I need to validate myself. That's it. That's enough. I'm allowing what is truth within me to be expressed. If you get a healing from me, a healing session, whether private or group or even Reiki uh, on Monday nights on YouTube, that's enough. My works, my energy speaks for itself. I don't have to prove to anyone what certificates I've gotten, which ones I haven't, what level I'm at, nothing like that. I just shine. I shine from alignment and I let go of my ego. I love to say, ego, take a vacation. This is a light that shines from alignment, not from ego. It is service, truth. It is divine moving through my unique expression. Shining from alignment is not ego. Remember that. You do not have to compete with anyone else. We There could be 200 people in the room. They all know how to do Reiki, for example. Each Reiki practitioner does Reiki differently. Their energy is different. Why? Because they become the conduit. And because you become the conduit, you either are fully aligned or not. You're aligned differently. Each person does things differently. I have a lot of sessions where I remove trauma energy from people's field, right? When you have a trauma, and that energy stays with you. That negative energy stays with you. No matter if you've gone to um, counselors or psychiatrists, you've worked on yourself for years, that is all great. But until you release that energy that was created through that trauma, you really haven't released everything. And that energy will continue to grow and create more blockages, create more harm for you, create more walls that you hit um, because it's draining you. So when we release that energy, you could start feeling more like yourself and go back into alignment. Let your work speak. Let your voice carry. Let your presence be honest. And let your gifts serve where they are received. You do not have to convince anyone. You do not have to chase the applause. Oh, that's so good. Actually, when somebody does that for me, sometimes I feel kind of icky because it's like, do you really mean it? Do you really mean it? Or are you just kissing my butt? And I say like that sometimes. Sometimes being a Gemini from northern Jersey, hmm, sometimes my mouth speaks before my brain says stop. Don't say that. You know what? That's my truthfulness. That is, I tell you exactly what it is, the truth. Why? It is too much to lie, to carry a lie, to remember a lie, to hold yourself back. You feel that energy building up, and one day you're just going to explode. So let your presence be honest. Let your gifts shine. When someone does not understand, you do not have to collapse. When someone does not approve, you do not have to disappear. Release what projection is. Stay connected to your center. It is not easy. There are a lot of the times where I'm human, even I, who you guys see me all the time, here and there and almost everywhere, social media. Um, you see the shyness, but you don't see inside of me. Sometimes I go through my dark soul trip, as they say. You doubt yourself. Are you doing the right thing? Are you not doing the right thing? But you know what? You should shine. You keep going. You take one step and keep going because your lights, your gifts, your energies, your work are just there for everyone. And when you let them just shine, when you let them out completely without holding them in a small vessel, you become who you're meant to be. You remember who you are. Yes, there are times where your work needs boundaries. You cannot be 100% 24/7. You cannot be overgiving all the time. Everything has to have boundaries. You can be seen and still be discerning. You can share your gifts and still protect your energy. You can serve and still have limits. You can be open hearted and still have a gate. That is what we call, or I call, spiritual maturity. A boundary might sound like I am not available for that conversation. I do not offer free energetic labor outside of aligned spaces. I need time to respond. It could also sound like this is sacred and I will share it when the timing is right. Why? Because you find yourself that once you start shining, people want advice everywhere you go. People want you to perform. When you're trying to have a dinner, you're trying to have dessert, all of a sudden somebody comes over. Can you give me a reading? What do you think about my dad? Is he here with me? No. You can just say, I can support you through a session, a class, or a proper container. Don't abandon yourself to prove your compassion. You could be compassionate. That doesn't mean, like I said, that you have to be hard or you have to do anything. But if you are out with your family or with your partner or with your friend, that is your time. So don't sacrifice. Needs boundaries. The world does not need an edited version of you. It needs the real you, the clear, grounded, and fully present. If you don't have those moments that to take care of yourself, you will not be that. You will not be clear. You will be cloudy or foggy. You know, the world does not need the version hiding the very gifts that make you shine. They need you to be real. They need to see the grounded, honest, healing, intuitive, created, wise you. The beautiful human in you. Not the perfect, not the fearless, the real. And that's why I say, I don't mind saying, I was in college. You would have told me, somebody would have came and read for me and given me a message that in 2019 I would start Glenda's Dragons Den. I will be, you're out of your effing mind because there's no way I can't. And yet I took the step. When I signed that contract in 2019 with the radio station, which also produced a video also, so it was a video podcast, audio podcast. Um, I was afraid. I was like, oh dear Lord, what did I just do? I just signed a contract to provide shows, to have guests, to interview them, to show up. And I was like, I don't even like to talk in a group of more than 5 or 6 people. But you know what? I trusted my light. I trusted my light, and my intuitive side said, you need this because you have to shine brighter. And that is how I'm able to do this today. I started, fear and all, fear, but still walk, do it. Don't stop yourself. You just got to remember that you do not need anyone's approval because someone needs the version of you that stopped hiding. That is why your light matters. That's all. Your light matters because you need to shine bright. And many are here looking lost or just not know where they're going because they cannot see in front of them. But when you shine your light really strong, really bright, they're able to see their road. They're able to see their road so they can heal and continue moving forward. Now, I know many of you are saying, oh, she's got to be kidding me. I can't do that. I can't continue doing that. You need to release the fear of being seen. Come on, ladies and gents. Really. Don't release the habit of shrinking to stay safe. Allow your light to return with wisdom. Allow your voice to return with clarity. Allow your gifts to return with boundaries. That's the difference. Your presence has to be honest. Your presence has to be honest. And the only way you could be honest is if you let your light shine very bright. At first, of course, it's going to be very scary for some of you. I have mediumship development classes on Thursdays, right? And a lot of the times, the new students come in and say, I've never done this. I am scared of doing something wrong and all that. And by the time they leave, they realize that they were seen and they were safe and that they have gifts that they never even thought that they had. Everyone has gifts. It's whether we decide to shine bright and develop them and let that light shine everywhere, or whether we decide to hide it under a rock, take our blankets over our heads, and only come out every once in a while. Not shining bright, just very, very dim. Take a breath. Take a breath. You can serve without disappearing. You can be who you're meant to be in this life, in this incarnation. And right now, people, just want to say something. We need to shine. We need this light to be brighter and brighter and brighter. And with each one of you lighting your light and adding more fuel to it and allowing it to not be covered, we will see and feel lighter because earth will feel lighter and the collective will feel lighter. And you will feel that and know and just see yourself with an aligned heart. When your heart aligns, when your body aligns, your path aligns, and your relationship with divine, God, Goddess, whatever it is, creator that you, the wording that you use, I don't care. It is the same energy. It is the energy that has been here since the beginning of time. It's the energy even before that, because time is something humans made. There is no time in the other world, in the other side. And we have all had many different lives before and after this one. Because time, there is no time on the other side. Time is only made by us, by humans. You could have simultaneous lives and learn the lessons your soul needs to evolve at the exact same time. Think about that. Your soul comes here to be greater than it has been. And if you do mistakes because you are human, fess up, take accountability. Let's see what steps you could take so that doesn't happen again. And have love, wisdom, courage, clarity, and sacred expression to remember, to be better, to remember the light within you. You know, many places have a lot of hidden places. There are a lot of hidden places where you could hide. But why? Why? Let your voice be heard. Return your truth and let that rise with you. Let your past Start to heal. Don't shrink for those that have before come before you, whether it's your old teachers, whether they have been your parents or your family, your friends, your schoolmates. Don't shrink and don't apologize for the gifts that you have within you. Those are divine gifts. And I don't mean mediumship only. You could be one of those people that can take a headache away from someone and then discard it into Mother Earth naturally. You could be someone whose voice just heals because you speak. You have the vibrations to speak to someone and let them heal. Why do you think songs are so popular? Why do you think music has become so big? Because it's healing, whether it's empowering music, whether it's sad music that you want to cry, but you're releasing what you were bottling up. There are sometimes songs that help you get through time periods in your life, very difficult time periods. And they're not the most empowering type of music. They're about your heart, my heart is broken and I don't know what to do. And you're telling me, you're telling me now that you love me, after all the stuff that you did to me. And you know what? Those vibrations, maybe the vibrations that are in your throat. And once you speak your truth and you start talking and you start shining, people will heal around you. You don't have to drain yourself. You do not have to shrink yourself. You don't have to overgive. You just have to be you. And before we close today, just take a deep breath. I want to speak to the person who felt this episode deeply. Maybe you know you have been hiding. Maybe you feel called to share your gifts, but fear keeps rising. Maybe old wounds still speak when you try to become more visible. Maybe you have blockages. And maybe you are ready for deeper healing, spiritual development, intuitive growth, or a sense of purpose. But you do not want to walk that path alone. It's okay. There's no shame in needing support. Sometimes stepping into your light requires healing, guidance, energetic cleansing and clearing. Maybe it requires the tribe, a class, a circle, a mentor, or a sacred space. Your gifts will be strengthened when you find the right place. Now, if you could feel called to go in deeper, I invite you or anyone, whether you see this today, live, or later on as recording is left behind, I invite you to connect with me at any point, whether it's through email, go through my website, glendasmagicalcreations.com, whether you see me on Facebook, Instagram, on LinkedIn, wherever you see me, whether through healing, guidance, classes, circles, there are spaces available to help you stop shrinking, reconnect with your gifts, and return to your truth of who you are. You can begin with willingness. You can begin with one honest step at a time. You could still have fear, but just take that step forward. You don't have to silence your voice forever. Now, just today, again, a nice deep breath. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you so very much. I am very blessed that you are here with me, whether you see this live or later. And I love to hear from you, whether it's just how this resonated with you or how you went through this already. Maybe it just planted a seed or a sparking within you. I invite you to share it. I want you to email me. And I also invite you to share this program, this episode, because they may be hiding, someone else may be hiding their light, and they may need deeper healing. They may need guidance, support, and a way to not hide or shrink. So, again, until next time, may your voice return, may your gifts breathe, may your light rise, may your boundaries hold, and may your spirit remember you do not have to shrink to be safe. Many blessings, and as always, I love you. Till next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here. Bye.